So as I welcome you all Vaishnavis, today we are beginning RajaVidhya. And this is the last book in our series in the small books of Srila Prabhupada. So hearty congratulations for all those who stayed along this much to finish the small books of Srila Prabhupada. So here we are blessed as we start this new book, RajaVidhya, the King of Knowledge with Ananga Manjari Prabhu with us. It's always amazing to have her insights, her spiritual enlightened words just spark so much happiness in our heart and gives us direction for us to practice, not just in book, just reading, but to practice in our life. So we are very grateful, and let's all heartily welcome her to the reading session. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Haribo.
You see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see me in here.
Oh,
Yeah, I did
we
before.
can see you.
Okay, you can see me. That's important. Okay, that's fine.
So how would you like to start, Ananga Manjari Prabhu?
I guess how you do
Start
it,
reading?
however you
Start
do it,
reading?
you read something?
Yes,
Yeah.
we will. Yes, thank you. Anybody would like to begin? Chapter 1, RajaVidhya. Yes, Devaki Preeti, please go ahead.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So nice to see you, Ananga Manjari Prabhu. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for coming again.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Tute Kuyam Tamam Pravaksham Anuashyaye Janam Vigyam Sahitam Yajnava Mokshaye Shabbat. The Supreme Lord said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Bhagavad Gita 9:1. The opening words of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita indicate that the Supreme Godhead is speaking. Here, Sri Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, and Van means one who possesses. We have some conception of God, but in the Vedic literature there are definite descriptions and definitions of what is meant by God, and what is meant is described in one word, Bhagavan. Bhagavan possesses all opulences, the totality of knowledge, wealth, power, beauty, fame, and renunciation. When we find someone who possesses these opulences in full, we are to know that he is God. There are many rich, wise, famous, beautiful, and powerful men, but no one man can claim to possess all of these opulences. Only Krishna claims to possess them in totality. Should I keep going, Mother Hemagopi, or?
A few more paragraphs is okay?
Okay, yes. Bhaktaram yachatapasham sarvaloka maheshwaram sridam sarvabhutanam jnatva santi richati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Here Krishna proclaims that he is the enjoyer of all activities and the proprietor of all planets, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. An individual may possess a large tract of land, and he may be proud of his ownership, but Krishna claims to possess all planetary systems. Krishna also claims to be the friend of all living entities, Sahridam Sarvabhutanam. When a person understands that God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, and the enjoyer of all, he becomes very peaceful. This is the actual peace formula. No one can have peace as long as he thinks, I am the proprietor. Who is capable of claiming proprietorship? Only a few hundred years ago, the Native Indians were considered the proprietors of America. Today, we in our turn are claiming that proprietorship. But in 400 or 1,000 years, perhaps someone else will come to claim the same. The land is here, and we come here and falsely claim ourselves to be proprietors of it. This philosophy of false proprietorship is not in line with Vedic injunctions. Sri Ishopanishad states that everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Shashyam idam sarvam. The truth of this statement is factual, but under illusion, we are thinking that we are the proprietors. In actuality, God owns everything, and therefore he is called the richest. Jai.
Yes.
Jai Prabhupada.
I think if you want, I can comment some things. And then
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
thank you. You read the Sanskrit very nicely, and thank you. It's great. So here, Prabhupada is explaining what is God. And in the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, he actually mentions this right away in the introduction about there is God, and then there is, there can be many gods, or, in different religions and things. But he was saying the actual Lord, or the supreme personality of Godhead, is the summum bonum. And the summum bonum also means, he's talking about the absolute truth. He says there's a difference between God and the absolute truth, the summum bonum. Any person who can maybe control a lot, like Brahma, he's a god. We call him a demigod. And then there's, the absolute truth is what we are targeting here. And he says how the Srimad Bhagavatam is targeting at the absolute truth. And we're hearing about Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, as Bhagawan, the supreme Lord, absolute truth. And at one point, and just as in this purport here, Prabhupada keeps saying how Krishna is the greatest beneficiary. He's the benefactor. He's the well-wisher of everyone. He's the owner. He's the controller. He created everything. He's the ultimate creator. Everything animate or inanimate is controlled and owned by him. So these things are being stressed because, so that we actually realize how great Krishna is, how not only great, but how magnanimous he is, that he's so kind also, that he comes and he engages in pastimes, and he listens to our prayers, and he may answer them in different ways, maybe not always as we like, but he does answer them. He's there in our hearts. So Prabhupada is really making these points. I think it's really important that we hear from the same thing he's saying here, he's saying from Srimad Bhagavatam, he says in Bhagavad Gita, and it's a consistent philosophy. There's no inconsistency in this philosophy. If sometimes we may hear one thing stressed in one part of the philosophy and another thing stressed in another part, and we may feel or think it may be inconsistent, but ultimately it's surrender to Krishna. He's the supreme owner, controller, and your friend. And at one point in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, or maybe later on in it, anyway, he says the three things that the living entity needs to know, three things that Lord Chaitanya taught. And then later on in a lecture, he said, if you teach your children these three things, then that's everything they need to know. And Lord Chaitanya taught these three things: that Krishna is the ultimate controller. He created everything, so he knows how it works, and he made it work this way. That's how he wanted it. So he controls everything. Not a blade of grass moves without his approval. And then he's the owner of everything. He owns everything, and he's your best friend. So this is the ultimate philosophy, so we can have as our best friend the owner and controller of everything. That's kind of cool, because
Yes.
what will we lack then? And he's our well-wisher. And I really like that Prabhupada mentioned that in this purport, the word well-wisher, because he signed all of his letters, your ever well-wisher. And we want to imbibe that within ourselves, that as a follower, as a student of Prabhupada, we want to also be everyone's well-wisher. And it's not
Mm.
always so easy in this
True.
world. Sometimes we find people who have been harsh with us or not nice with us. And so it's hard to just say, how can I be your well-wisher? But I like to say, well, if someone is repeatedly harsh to you, they have a problem. It's not that they don't, we can't just say, oh, I'm your well-wisher, you're great, everything's okay. They have a problem if someone is harsh to many people. But we can ask Krishna, you please fix them. You take care of them. So that way I'm your well-wisher, because I'm wishing that you will be okay. I'm wishing that you will also go to Krishna, that Krishna will guide you towards him in some way and remove obstacles in your path to reach him. And that's not just for devotees, but even sometimes, I would hear devotees say, oh, this person, talking about someone in another religion or they do this and they did that and they're like this. Well, we should be their well-wisher. We want to wish them that they will reach the understanding of God consciousness in whatever religion or however way they can. But that's up to Krishna. I can't control people, what they think, how they feel. I can't force them into being Krishna conscious, or neither my children. We can't force them. Everyone has their own path. But we know that Krishna is in their heart, so we just pray, Krishna, you guide them, you fix them, you take care of them. And in that way, we can be everyone's well-wisher all the time, even if we don't like someone. Even if we can't love them, we can wish them well and put them in Krishna's hands. And that's the best love we can give sometime. So that's something I just wanted to say. We can keep reading. Any questions or comments so far? How about that?
Ananga Manjari Prabhu, I was also reflecting as you were talking that if somebody is rich, it's kind of conditioning, or that's what we see in this world. They don't mingle with us. There is a class that there is a
Yes.
distance. So,
Yeah.
and when we see that Krishna is the possessor of everything and he is the richest, but he still is so approachable and available.
Very nice. Yes.
That
Richness is in humility and sincerity. And if our richness can be in humility and sincerity with no false ego, then Krishna will give special blessings, special attention. Yeah.
all the contradictions dissolve in Krishna, and he's so accessible, being even though he was being the richest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else, Mataji? You have any questions or comments till so far to share? Or anyone else would like to start reading from, of course?
I can read, Mataji, if you can allow.
Yes, Radhika Kishori Mataji, yes, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. Of course, there are many men who claim to be God. In India, for instance, at any time, one has no difficulty in finding at least 12 people claiming to be God. But if you ask them if they are the proprietor of everything, they find this difficult to answer. This is criterion by which we can understand who God is. God is the proprietor of everything, and being so, he must be more powerful than anyone or anything else. When Krishna was personally present on this earth, no one could conquer him. There is no record of his ever having lost a battle. He belonged to a Kshatriya warrior family, and the Kshatriyas are meant to give protection to the weak. As far as his opulence is concerned, he married 16,108 wives. Every wife had her own separate palace. And Krishna expanded himself 16,108 times in order to enjoy them all. This may seem difficult to believe, but it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the great sages of India recognize this as scriptures and recognize Krishna as God. In the first verse of this 9th chapter, by the word Guhyatamam, Sri Krishna intimates that he is imparting the most confidential knowledge to Arjuna. Why is he proclaiming this to Arjuna? It is because Arjuna is Anasuya, non envious. In the material world, if someone is greater than us, we are envious. We are not only envious of one another, but of God. Also, when Krishna says, I am the proprietor, we disbelieve. We disbelieve it. But this is not the case with Arjuna, who listens to Krishna without envy. Arjuna does not seva with Krishna but agrees with whatever he says. This is his special qualification, and this is the way of understanding the Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible to understand what God is by your own mental speculation. We have to hear and we have to accept. Because, should I continue or wait, Mataji?
Go ahead.
Because Arjuna is not envious. Krishna speaks this special knowledge to him. This is not only theoretical knowledge, but practical knowledge. Vijnana Sahitam. Whatever knowledge we receive from the Bhagavad Gita should not be taken for sentimentality or fanatism. The knowledge is both jnana and vijnana, theoretical wisdom and scientific knowledge. If one becomes well versed in this knowledge, liberation is certain. Life in this material world is by nature inauspicious and miserable. Moksha means liberation, and the promise is that by dint of now understanding this knowledge, one will attain liberation from all miseries. It is important that to understand what Krishna says about this knowledge. RajaVidhya Rajaguhyam Pavitramidavuttamam Pratyakshavagam Dharmyam Susukam Kartumavyayam. This knowledge is the king of knowledge, of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Bhagavad Gita 9.2.
Hey, I could, if you don't mind, I could say something here.
Yes.
Yes.
So this verse is very, very important and very full of so many aspects. And one aspect is how it's saying, well, first of all, this knowledge is the king of education. It's the knowledge that encompasses everything you need. It's the most secret of all secrets. It's a secret because one has to actually have the right mentality to be able to understand it. And what is that mentality? Non-envy, which is what we're talking here, what Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport. Being not envious is the qualification to understand the secret. And it is the purest knowledge because it gives, and this is so amazing, direct perception of the self by realization. That's the highest psychology. In psychology, everyone is trying to find out, who am I? Who am I really? What am I made up of? What is my nature? My mental nature, my emotional nature, and my intellectual nature, my personality in dealing with other people. All psychology is based on this perception of the self. And here in the wisdom of the Gita and other books that Srila Prabhupada has so painstakingly and amazingly and kindly given to us, the greatest psychology is here. If we see it like that, if we want to read it like this, then it says it's the perfection of religion. Because what does Prabhupada say religion is? Religion is not a belief. Oh, I was born, as a Jewish person or a Catholic person or, whatever, Muslim person or a Hindu person. So that's my religion. It's not just a belief. It's what cannot be taken away from the soul. It's that understanding, that relationship, that knowledge that cannot be taken away from the soul. Just like he gives the example, water is liquid. You can't take liquid away from water or it turns to ice or something else, or gas. You can't take sweetness out of sugar or it becomes something else. It's not sugar anymore. So we cannot take love of the Supreme Lord, Bhakti, away from our hearts. And that's the perfection of religion. And that's the perfection of all religions. But yet people are fighting, killing each other with weapons. That this is my religion, that's your religion. I always wished that people could understand, like come together and see what is something that God is trying to tell all of us. In almost every religious practice, any bona fide religious practice from ancient times, there's restrictions on certain things. And these restrictions are the same almost throughout many religions. There's restrictions on meat eating. The Catholics have restrictions on meat eating. The Christians have restrictions. The Jewish people have restrictions. The Muslim people have some restrictions. The Hindu people have, there's restrictions on meat eating for most, the Buddhists have restrictions on meat eating. So there's restrictions on, immoral sexual behavior. There's restrictions on that in almost every religion. So these things are there to guide the human race towards God. And that's that's the perfection of religion. That's the direct perception of the self, that I'm a servant of God in my heart. And he's there in everyone's heart, no matter what religion they are. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention this. That's one of, my perception of this purport here, just off the top of my head. And another thing about non-envious, that's a very important point Prabhupada keeps bringing up. Non-envious. So where does envy and where does ego, false ego we're talking about, where does that come from? And in the Gita, in the 6th chapter, there's a verse where Krishna says, a person must elevate themselves by their own mind, not degrade themselves. So it starts in the mind. And as the rest of the Gita is explaining, and even in the 2nd chapter and things, by contemplating the objects of the senses, the mind becomes a little bit bewildered and starts thinking, oh, I want this, I want that. Oh, I own this and I own that. And I even own this person that I'm in a relationship with. And I am the owner, and therefore I am the controller. And that's where the envy and that's where the ego starts. It's an illusory perception of the mind only. And that's what the yoga system, and of course bhakti yoga, is taking away that illusory perception that we have in our own minds, that we are the owner, controller, or master of anything. Because a real master, sometimes even we've seen great artists from the past, or even nowadays, great musicians or artists, and they come up with the most beautiful poetic way of explaining something that moves people's hearts. And people sometimes have asked some of these famous people, how did you come up with these things? Where did it come from? How did you think of this? And many of them would just say, I don't know. It's the Lord, or it's, they don't know, or it just came. It's a gift. So a gift from who? From whom? So that we understand that this is the gifts that Krishna gives us when anything we do is coming out successful or amazing or influencing other people. It's a gift. And then we have to use that gift for him in his service. Not that, oh, now I'm good at this. I'm a good artist, or I'm a good musician, or I'm a good, whatever it is, scientist, or I'm a good philosopher. And so this is all knowledge. I know this stuff and I'm the controller of it. No. We have to always be non-envious of the source. Krishna says, Vedavid eva chaham. I am the Vedas. I am the knower. I am the creator. I am everything. And I am what is to be known. So it's all Krishna. It's all Krishna. And that's the beauty of when we can feel it or understand it or see it or at least accept it, then in our hearts we have some, we'll gain some love for Krishna. And that's the whole point. So those were little points I just wanted to point out.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you so much, Ananga Manjari Prabhu.
Oh,
Just the
and one
point of
more.
yes.
Sorry, one more sentence that,
Sure.
Prabhupada is saying here that, from this knowledge, we can become liberated from miseries of life. And that's what the psychologists are trying to help people become liberated from the miseries of life. So this psychology philosophy is a lot, and doesn't mean that we shouldn't listen to some psychologists. I listen to many psychologists, and the knowledge is amazing, especially when it's coming from, there's a couple of very pious people that I listen to they're spiritual people. They believe in God and they don't press their religion. They're not pushing their religion on anyone, but you can tell from the way they're speaking psychology that they really want to help people. And this knowledge is very good. And it coincides with our Bhagavad Gita. The wisdom of the Gita is coinciding with that philosophy, that psychology of human mind and how it works. And then if we mix it, we learn a lot. So don't disregard knowledge from other sources, because ultimately all the valuable and you could say knowledge that's out there that will create good in the world is all coming from Krishna. So that's all. That was more than one sentence. Sorry.
No, we are here to hear from you. That's what we want to. Thank you. Should we continue reading, Ananga Manjari Prabhu? Sure. Yeah. Any other Matajis would like to volunteer for a few minutes to read from according to Bhagavad Gita? Yes, Nityakeshwari Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Ananga Manjari Prabhu. I will start reading according to, right?
Yes.
Okay. According to the Bhagavad Gita, the topmost knowledge, RajaVidhya Rajaguhyam, is Krishna consciousness. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, we find that the symptom of one who is actually in knowledge is that he has surrendered to Krishna. As long as we go on speculating about God but do not surrender, it is understood that we have not attained the perfection of knowledge. The perfection of knowledge is Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Bhagavad Gita 7.19. As long as we do not surrender, we cannot understand God. Surrender to God may take many births, but if we accept that God is great, it is possible to surrender unto Him immediately. But generally, this is not our position in the material world. We are characteristically envious and consequently think, oh, why should I surrender to God? I am independent. I shall work independently. Therefore, in order to rectify this misgiving, we have to work for many births. In this regard, the name of Krishna is especially significant. Krish means repetition of birth, and Na means one who checks. Our repetition of birth can be checked only by God. No one can check his repetition of birth and death without the causeless mercy of God. The subject matter of the 9th chapter is RajaVidhya. Raja means king and Vidya means knowledge. In ordinary life, we find one person king in one subject and another in another subject. This knowledge, however, is sovereign over all others, and all other knowledge is subject or relative to it. The word Rajaguhyam indicates that this sovereign knowledge is very confidential, and the word pavitram means that it is very pure. This knowledge is also uttamam. Ud means transcend, and tama means darkness. And that knowledge which surpasses this world and the knowledge of this world is called uttamam. It is the knowledge of light and darkness. It is the knowledge of light, and darkness has been separated from it. If one follows this path of knowledge, he will personally understand how far he has progressed down the path of perfection. Pratyakshaavagamam dharmam. So Sukham Kartum indicates that this knowledge is very happy and joyful to execute. And Avyayam indicates that this knowledge is permanent. We may work in this material world for education or riches, but these things are not Avyayam. For as soon as this body is finished, everything else is also finished. With death, our education, advanced degrees, bank balances, family, everything are all finished. Whatever we are doing in this material world is not eternal. However, this knowledge is not like that. I'll just finish this verse.
Yes, yes.
Neha bhikramanaşosti pratyavayo na vidyate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Bhagavad Gita 2.40. Thank you.
Very
This is beautiful.
So we all know what the most dangerous type of fear is. Someone answer.
Death.
Yes. Repeated birth. Yes. Death is
getting
also
Krishna.
fearful, but death is fearful because if we don't know where we're going.
Yes.
It's interesting that in this world, if we go for a trip, we take so much preparation. You know, we buy the tickets way ahead of time. We know where we're going to be. We know if we're going to be picked up or take a bus or however. When we get there, we bring all of the clothes that we need, whether it's cold or warm, or we prepare so many things, and then we all know that we're going to die, and if we don't prepare for that, people don't know how to prepare for that. So it's very fearful. Yeah. I met someone recently who they claim to be an atheist. They're good. They're a good person. They're good people, and they probably aren't real atheists. They're just confused. But, they were telling me how fearful they are of death. And I said, well, what is it that makes you, what thought comes to your mind before the feeling of fear? And that's a good psychological trip for many things. As soon as we feel like over angry or over, fearful or over anxiety or something, we should stop for a second. And literally, sometimes the psychologists say, take 2 steps back and think, wait, what was the thought I had in my mind before the fear came or before the anger came? Because that thought is is something I want to learn about, know about. Why is it that when I think this, I become angry or fearful or whatever? So anyway, I asked him, and he thought about it for a minute, and he said, because I feel like I haven't done everything in this life that I want to do, and I'm getting old now. And there was other things I wanted to do. So we started talking about that, and I didn't want to bring in, God and Krishna and all that, because they weren't going to accept that. They would probably immediately shut me down, But I talked to him, and he started listening and, just understanding, well, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to do good for others? That was something he wanted to do, like helping others in some way. So I was just encouraging him. That's a good thing. That's a pious thing. So anyway, the idea is that people are fearful of death, but they're also fearful because they don't know where they're going. They can't imagine their destination. And then I see some devotees, and they're like, oh, I'm ready to leave this body and go back to Godhead, And it's like, okay, that's good. Prabhupada one time was giving a class. I don't know if I mentioned this, but he was giving a class, and he was saying, unless you're 100% free from all material desire, you cannot go back to the spiritual world, to back to Godhead. And devotees were all looking like, oh, what? You know, like they were all fearful. So then he said, well, then later on in the lecture, he said 70%. And then later on, he said 50%. And he was going down and down in the percentage of how pure you had to be to go back. Then actually a few devotees that were my friends were right near him. And when he was getting off the Vyasasan, he said, never mind, I'll take you through the back door. So we're, you know, and I remember one time I was going to a shop for selling my things, and they had a little sign on the front door and it said, hippies use the back door. So I was thinking, actually going through the back door is so much more personal than going through the front door. Because if you think of most people's homes, the front door is where the living room is. It's like a sitting room. So you invite people in and you say, please sit here, and then I'll go get you some tea or, you know, whatever, herbal tea or, you know, whatever. So it's like, it's more formal. But when you come through the back door, it's like a screen door. It's like where all the mess is. It's usually someone's kitchen. So you can sit down there and they'll give you a glass of juice and a sandwich. And it's so much more, you could say, informal in a way. So when Prabhupada said that, I'm thinking, that's my style. I'll go through the back door. It's fine. I don't need the front door where, you know, all the demigods are standing there and all are greeting all the bhaktas and devotees. You know, it's like, go through the back door and grab
give
a
a
ride.
whole new perspective about this back door.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Like, yeah. So anyway, the informal aspect of the Lord to be so kind and what Prabhupada did. So we're kind of like riding on Srila Prabhupada's surrender. In the earlier part of this, what we just read, it was talking about a surrendered soul. We have to be surrendered in order to be able to understand the secret. We already mentioned that. And, you know, to understand the philosophy, the secret of the philosophy, we have to be surrendered. But I feel, at least myself, and I know many of my friends and others, we're just riding on Prabhupada's surrender. You know, he's the one who's actually surrendered to the Lord. He's the one who has had no ego in coming to the Western country. It was only on the order of his spiritual master and surrendered to his spiritual master in Krishna that he came and did what he did and fought against even other Gaudiya Vaishnavas and Brahmins, and, you know, they didn't like what he was doing. You can't make lechas and Sudras and women into Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, but he did it. And he said, no, they are. And they're my Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. And so we're riding on his, you could say, his mercy, his energy, his power. And someone gave an example once a long time ago. I thought it was really funny that if you've ever watched a cartoon where there's, can you see my hands here? Okay.
Yes.
So, if you ever watched a cartoon where there's like a cliff and the person's running, and he's running, and he's over the cliff and he's running in the air. He's still running because he doesn't notice. But as soon as he looks down and realizes, oops, you know, I'm just on my own now, then whoop down. So, so we're riding on Prabhupada's mercy that we've gotten. And if we start thinking, oh, it's me, look at me, I'm so great. And then all of a sudden we look down and realize, wait, I'm on my own. Where's Prabhupada? Where's Krishna? I left them behind. Then down, then we fall down. So, yeah. So as long as we understand where our power is coming from, where our intelligence is coming from, where this philosophy is coming from, this is so important that what Prabhupada gave us is not ordinary. And so we're very, very grateful, and gratitude should be a big part. Well, gratitude and bhakti are synonymous. You can't have love without gratitude. So gratitude is, I like to say, my sadhana. I'm not very regulated or strict like many, but I do have gratitude. So anyway, and we have to keep trying always to do more. That's always there. That's real gratitude. And when we know that we have something that we owe Srila Prabhupada, I'm going to mention this because it was brought up with my friends here, that there's been a in the movement, there's been like a habit to start calling the woman only Matajis and daughters of Prabhupada, and not calling, and some of them are even saying you cannot call a woman Prabhu, and just so many things like this. So I want to just address this. There's nothing wrong with calling a Vaishnavi a Mataji or a daughter of Prabhupada. There's nothing wrong with that. But as a daughter, if you know in the Vedic culture, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Vedic culture, a daughter doesn't have to be obligated to the father for anything. The father is a giver and the daughter is a taker. And the daughter does not feel the son has the obligation that when my parents get older, I must take care of them. Usually the fathers, if they're very strict from the Hindu religion, anyway, at least, they will not go to the daughter's house even to even eat, or, sometimes like that. That's different strictness is there. But the point is that in the Vedic culture, the daughter has nothing to repay the father. So if I only am called daughter and not recognized as a disciple of Prabhupada or a Vaishnavi, or just a Mataji and just a daughter, those are mundane. That's mundane. And then I have nothing, I don't have to pay Prabhupada back. He gave me everything and I'm just going to ride on it and enjoy it. That's the duty of the daughter. That's her business, is to enjoy the blessings of the father and not have to give anything back. So this is wrong mentality for Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So I don't say, don't call me Mataji or don't call me daughter of Prabhupada. We're all happy. Prabhupada would often say daughters and sons, daughters and sons. That was an affectionate, that was his affectionate family relationship with us. But with others outside, he would say, he would call us all Prabhus. These are my Prabhus. These are my Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis that are all actual devotees of Lord Krishna, and they're doing valuable devotions. They're bona fide Vaishnavas, bona fide Brahmins, bona fide initiated disciples. And so as a disciple, my whole life has to be repaying that dakshin to Srila Prabhupada. So it's kind of I feel there's been an imbalance in some ways where we only call the women the Matajis and the daughters, and not saying this disciple now of Prabhupada will speak or say something or give a class, or and so it's kind of, as a disciple, I owe him my life, my every word, every moment, every thought. Actually, I don't do it. I wish I could, but I know I have to try. And so this is a very important point that has gotten a bit lost and a bit covered from our social dealings in the movement, in the Institute. When Prabhupada first started Krishna consciousness in the West, and he gathered some women and men, he called them all Prabhus. He called them all Prabhus. So does that mean, he didn't know Sanskrit enough, that it's a male, whatever? Some people argue like that. It's a male word, but that doesn't mean it can't be used for women. There are other male words that also can be used for different things. But anyway, so it's not that a great saintly person knows what they are. They have a deeper reason for what they do. They know what they're doing. They don't just do whimsically or to make someone feel good. They'll say anything. No. Prabhupada specifically called everyone Prabhu. And later on, he was, at that time, in the beginning of the movement, he was writing to his godbrothers and other Brahmins in India and other leaders of India. And he was saying, he wanted them to accept what he was doing here in America as a bona fide part of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. You see? And they were fighting. Oh no, you're going to come back. Everyone else came back. No one can really turn their minds. No one can really make Brahmins and Vaishnavas out of women and Sudras in the Western countries. But he did it. He did it, and he proved. And then he brought them all in 1971, I believe it was. He brought them all to India. And he had them dancing, his white elephants dancing in the street, doing Harinam. He had Mother Jamuna, she was giving class in the big, with hundreds of people were gathered. He had her give class, and this is what I've done. He's showing everyone. He wanted the Brahmins of India and the Gaudiya Vaishnavas of India and to accept that what he's done is bona fide, and he did it. And then he established these big temples in India. So no one can say that the Western devotees or the woman or the men are not Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis and his disciples. And what does the word Prabhu mean anyway? I mean, if we want to what does it mean? What does it mean? Someone tell me.
Master.
Master of what? Master, but master of what? Prabhupada gave us all a PhD in Master of Service, devotional service. So it doesn't mean I'm the master now. It means I'm a master of service so I can serve you better. Let me serve you in the best way. I can serve you very well because I got a PhD in service. So how can anyone say that a Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi cannot be called Prabhu? And this is what Prabhupada wanted. Otherwise, otherwise you take out and say woman cannot be called that. That means half or more than half or whatever, maybe less than half, I'm not sure, of Prabhupada devotees and disciples are relegated to a mundane platform. And why would you do that? Because that minimizes his legacy, not for us. Well, I don't care. I don't care what you call me. I don't, you can just call me anything, but for Prabhupada's legacy, that what has he done? He worked so hard to establish his legacy. He fought against his god brothers. Later on, he kind of made an apology, when he was leaving this world. He kind of said, I'm sorry if I've caused you inconvenience, but I had to do it. I had to do this because I'm establishing Lord Chaitanya's mission. And that was more important than you being a little angry at me. So that was what Prabhupada did. Of course, we want to be respectful to everyone. And so anyway, that's my little take on some of that. We're riding on Prabhupada's coattails. We're hanging on to that, his dhoti tails or whatever, chada tails. And then we can be okay. Then we're going to be safe. So then we'll be liberated from the miseries of this world, and then we have to work on our own minds to give up that illusory perceptions and change the perception towards the wisdom of the Gita. The wisdom of the Gita has the proper perceptions of how we should see life. How should we see an animal, a dog eater, a person who's very degraded, but they're still spirit soul. So how can we elevate and uplift and not just push down and make fun of or insult or, or disregard? So a Vaishnava feels pain in their heart to see anyone in a lower condition. So they want to raise them even higher than me. If someone is better than me, then I can look up to them. And even if our children, we just like a parent, we want our children to do better than us. We give them everything we've got to make them help give them a push to be better than us, richer than us, more successful than us, more spiritual than us, and more intelligent than us. So then we become happy. So that's a Vaishnava, seeing others uplifted and we become happy. Anyway, any comments or questions?
Simply wonderful. Simply wonderful. Vaishnavis, any questions, comments?
Yes,
This is your opportunity.
Please.
Yes, Devaki Preeti.
Yeah.
Devaki Preeti, would you like to unmute? Yes.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much, Ananga Manjari Prabhu. The Prabhu topic has always confused me. has always confused me, so I really appreciate you clearing the air and helping me understand what Prabhu means, and also like the importance of using it for Prabhupada's legacy. I think that's the biggest thing that you gifted us with. I just so much appreciate that you helped us understand that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's master of service. So now we have to try to prove that by being really good servants of each other, yes, and of the world. That's what Prabhupada did. He was the best servant, and he's the Prabhupada. So all the best servants fall at his feet because he's the best servant, giving us everything. The kindness, the mercy, the compassion, and the knowledge, bhakti and Vedanta, the love and the knowledge. He gave everything of himself. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other Vaishnavis? Yes.
Let's get some juicy conversation going.
Anangamai Chitra, yes, go ahead, girl.
Hare Krishna
She's
Mata.
a teenager here too.
Okay, nice.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandat Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. I'd like to just appreciate, sorry, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'd like to appreciate this beautiful conversation. And I feel like even in the past, when I heard the last session you spoke, I really appreciate all the points you made. So I just want to thank you for
Oh,
making all these beautiful points and for kind of taking the things that Prabhupada is saying and giving us a way to better understand that, because you were taking Srila Prabhupada's writing and you were diving deep into it and giving it like a mother bird feeds worms to her children, right? In the same way, like you were really feeding us what Srila Prabhupada's heart is, and so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My mind and words would be full of worms, but if I'm trying to explain Prabhupada or his teachings, then it's different.
Sorry, Prabhu, that was not as
No,
implying.
that was a great example. No, I loved it. I'm appreciating it very much.
Shama Mohini Prabhu, would you like to go ahead?
I got the message.
Shama Mohini Prabhu, are you there?
She put the message she needs to leave.
She put the message in the chat. Okay. Fear of forgetting Krishna, is that the one? Yeah. At the time when we will need him the most, Srila Prabhupada therefore gave us a most important instruction: always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Thank you, Ananga Prabhu, for another inspiring session. Thank you. Okay, I need to disconnect, but I appreciate the association.
She's great.
She is.
Yes. So always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So all of our decisions can be made. When we have to make a decision, we should think, is this going to help me, remember Krishna and be more Krishna conscious, or is this going to be an impediment to my Krishna consciousness and make me forget him more? So that way it can help us to make decisions in our everyday life. Another thing that she mentioned is fear of forgetting Krishna, especially at the time of death. We may be trying hard to remember Krishna and being a good devotee, but at the time of death, things can be so disturbing, or we could, whatever, so many things could happen that it may be very difficult for us to be remembering Krishna. So there's different ways to remember Krishna, but Krishna is so kind, he won't forget you. Prabhupada is so kind, he won't forget us. There was one devotee who did a lot of service, and then he did some nonsense, like really serious offenses with other devotees and nonsense. And then he went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, he said, Prabhupada, please forgive me. I don't know if you could ever forgive me for what I've done. And Prabhupada said, how can I not forgive you? You've helped me push on Lord Chaitanya's mission in different countries. And so how can I not forgive you? I can't do this without you. I can't do it without all of you. So Prabhupada is so grateful that Krishna will personally come and remember us, and Prabhupada is remembering us and whatever little service we might have rendered. So one symptom of surrender from the nectar of devotion is that we should always feel in our hearts, feel that the Lord is going to protect us always. And therefore we have no fear, because we know the Lord will protect me as long as I keep trying sincerely. I may not be the best at anything, or I may not be able to even meditate much very easily, and my mind is always in different things. But if I'm trying and sincerely believing in it, then Krishna and Prabhupada will be there for us. And that's a symptom of surrender, to feel that and realize that the Lord is with me. And you know, there was a funny story. I don't know if I said this one, but yeah, I think I don't know if I said it here or somewhere else, but Charlie Chaplin, he was a comedian. Prabhupada liked him. Prabhupada was watching his things one time and was laughing. And so anyway, I heard that on his deathbed, the priest came and said, you know, may God have mercy on your soul. And he said, why not? It belongs to him anyway. My soul belongs to him anyway. So why not? Why wouldn't he have mercy? So he was expecting, the Lord will have mercy on me. This is a symptom of surrender. So we can have that. Krishna is also comical, and you know.
Avashya Rakshime Krishna. Yes, Krishna will always protect us. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Vaishnavis, anybody else would like to speak up? Your opportunity is here. If no other comments or questions, we will respectfully end the call here, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavi Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and Ananga Manjari Prabhu ki jai, jai, jai.
Yay!
All of you keep jai.
Thank you, Ananga Manjari Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you, Ananga
Krishna.
Manjari
Thank you
Prabhu.
so
Thank you,
much.
Hare Krishna.
To everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank
you, Gopi Prabhu, for facilitating and organizing.
Yes. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.